Hi, Tiffany, and I'm so excited for our guest today.
Yes, I am too. So, welcome to the Educator Spotlight and our podcast. We call it the Educator's View. Our partnership is built on empowering minds, inspiring futures, and supporting educators today.
And we are highlighting and paving the way forward for difference makers. How are you, Tiffany?
I'm good. How are you, Dr. P?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad that we have this episode today.
Yes, I'm excited as well. I've had a chance to meet our guest today through a platform for professional development educators, and it's just really great that Miss Cindy is able to join us today. So, hi everyone. We're going to say it again, and we do have um, Cindy Brockway with us today.
Hmm.
She's a consultant that owns her own business called the Courage Hub. And today she's going to talk a bit about cultivating sustainable success, overcoming burnout. So, hi, Cindy.
Hello, hello. It's nice to see both of you.
Nice
Welcome,
to
welcome,
meet you.
Cindy.
Welcome. Well, Cindy, we are very glad as we stayed to have you on our podcast today. And we just really want to start off by hearing your story. That's really why we do this, so that we can share our authentic selves with the educators that, make the difference in people's lives and children's lives, especially. So if you
Mm.
don't mind, we're going to just start off by just asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about your educational journey, and then we'll move on from there.
All right, that sounds wonderful. It's
Okay.
nice to be here with everyone and to really be a part of this movement, the Educators Spotlight session. It's really exciting for me. I'm Cindy, and I am a lifelong educator. I am a special needs specialist, so I work with special needs children, their families, and their service providers. And I did that in the classroom for close to 30 years. I was mentoring and coaching as well along the way. And in 2018 is when I started transitioning to from the in-person full-time, working out in the schools to some online coaching because I wanted to focus on preventing burnout and really helping to foster personal growth for us high achievers because
Mm-hmm.
I feel it is so important that we can utilize our personal clarity as a tool to prevent or to help us identify that silent burnout early on so that we don't get to the point of burnout. Personally, I've had a few situations over the years, but the most debilitating one was after working in the classroom for decades. I had a full-blown burnout session that led to 3 months on medical leave.
Mm.
And I had chronic migraines and was diagnosed with clinical depression. And wow, I had a hard time even getting out of bed.
Wow.
So it was then that I decided, I needed to explore how am I going to renew myself so I can get back to doing what I want to do and what I love doing. And that's where I took on a structured approach to mindfulness and what I call self-expansion. And it made a huge difference in my life and my career so that I was able to continue doing what I love without feeling depleted and depressed all the time. And so that's where, what led me to where I am today, where I focus on teaching others how to find their clarity, their calm, and that long-term fulfillment that we can have if we can go and master our mindset on things, set some boundaries, and just make more space for that inner growth.
Hmm. That sounds wonderful. Dr. P, that she shares the same kind of like the path you have with special needs students. So Dr.
Mm.
P is a that's her background as well. And then I did do some special ed as well. So wow, that's great. Do you have anything you wanted to add, Dr. P?
Yes, I just want to know, first of all, we are not just special educators for nothing. I know we are the super women, superman, because we are supporting those children who are needing more support than the regular education students. And I salute you, 30 years, Tiffany, you heard
Mm.
that? 30 years. My goodness, it's been a long journey for you to be an educator in 30 years. So, me having the special education background, I just want to ask, um, before, you felt the burnout, you were 30 years, what type of setting or placement were you on in the special education? Were you an inclusion teacher? Were you having a self-contained? Would you have a little explanation about that?
Right. I have done a few things over the years, like most of us, doing different things. Initially, probably the first 13 or 14 years, I was in a SED program, seriously emotionally disturbed, self-contained classroom. And so I did that for a number of years. And then I transitioned to resource for a couple of years where I was going into the classrooms and helping with full inclusion. And then I ended up back in a self-contained program working with children with multiple disabilities, some verbal, some nonverbal. And then I kind of ended my career at in the classroom anyway, at a charter school. And it was a really wonderful mindset behind that charter school. It was a STEM school, and I was the special education coordinator there at that school. So that's the what my experience looks like. So I've worked kind of all different avenues, and of course, when you're in the administrative program, you're also working with children with 504s and children in the that are leading up, that are in the referral process for special education and doing the interventions and things. So that's where that's kind of what I did in a nutshell.
Okay. Well, um, one of the questions that I did want to ask was, how, and you might have said a little bit about this when you talked a little bit about your background, but how did your career journey and your experiences affect the trajectory of your life?
Well, like I said, my experiences were wonderful early on.
Mhm.
And I was like many people in the education, I was really driven and I utilized every strategy out there. I was really good at what I did, but eventually it really depleted my vitality.
Mhm.
And I was, like I said, I was on medical leave and I was just so exhausted and
Mhm.
disillusioned with things that I felt like I needed to pull my life back together, which I did.
Mhm.
And that has led me to where I am now. I mean, when you work in a special needs classroom, and most teachers do this anyway, even in a blended classroom, but you are helping children to expand, to
Mhm.
learn, to grow at whatever way they are capable of doing that. And our job is to keep them from burning out on things and losing their cool, wanting to act out and things like that.
Mhm.
So it's very similar for us as educators. We need to learn how to take the lessons that we're teaching our children on resilience and, expanding and growing so that we can embrace sustainable success. We're not going to be exhausted all the time if we put ourselves in a position where we can be more where what we're doing is more sustainable, is what
Mhm.
I'm trying to say. Because, and I don't know about you guys, but in when you're working with children with multiple disabilities, and there's no curriculum out there for them.
Right.
And so you spend a lot of energy outside of the classroom, kind of building the curriculum
Mhm.
and for making the materials and things to work with the children. And, I had a real clear vision of where my children were going. But you know what? I didn't have that for myself, I found out. And so that's why I have now, in the later years of my practice, have started teaching others how to find that clarity for themselves,
Hmm.
and to just tap into their calm and learn how to master their mindset so that they can continue to serve and uplift others without depleting themselves.
That is so wonderful. And so that does kind of lead into um, some of the bullet points that we see on the screen, if you don't mind kind of talking a little bit about some of the strategies that may help people recognize that they may be having some burnout, if you don't
Right.
go over that with us.
So
Yes. Now,
Tiffany,
Mhm.
okay,
Uh-huh.
before Cindy would would share her information about those bullet points, and I know burnout because even the newcomer into education, they have already felt like they're burnt out. So with her having 30 years of experience, I want to know, when did she, or Cindy, when did you say enough is enough for you? And you really, and I know on the process, like year after year, we always say, oh, I'm going to retire, I'm going to retire. But then when was the final time or moment when you really said, oh, this is really it. I'm really burnt out and I'm going to leave, and I'm just going to take off. When was the
right.
time? Mm-hmm.
Well, when I got to that point, to be honest with you, that was when I transitioned from being in the classroom full time for the public Department of Public Instruction. I decided to transition and move into a different school environment. And that was my way of thinking that I was going to solve all my problems just by changing my environment. Well, your environment is not necessarily the only thing that's going on and that precipitates burnout.
Mhm.
It's from within as well, and your mindset. And it's those silent things that happen that creep in. I call it silent burnout, that creep in and you're not even fully aware of them. And you just get to a point where it's not fun anymore. You don't enjoy it anymore. And it wasn't time for me to retire. And so, what I did personally is I changed environments. I went from the Department of Public Instruction in a public school to a charter school. And that helped a little bit. However, that had its own set of challenges
Mhm.
because they had a lot less manpower in this little tiny charter school. And they had lots of exciting things going on, but you wore even more hats than I was wearing in the public school.
Hmm.
And so that kind of added to the
To the
burnout,
burnout.
Right.
to
Yeah.
the
I,
overwhelm.
I could
Right.
tell. Yes.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of added to the overwhelm. So then I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So instead of leaving completely, I
Mm-hmm.
started putting in some real firm boundaries, and I let myself go part-time. You
Hmm.
know,
Oh.
it was tough, but they agreed to it. We did some job sharing, which is a viable strategy for people who are facing some of that burnout, or perhaps they're in a situation in their personal life where they are needed more at home than what they typically were. And so if you become a caregiver or something and you still want to work, job sharing is one of the solutions or strategies that I utilize in trying to pull myself back together.
Hmm.
And then, like I said, it was right around that same time that I started doing things online and transitioning into some online. So that before COVID even hit, it was in 2018, actually, which is when I was staying home more, 3 days a week at home and 2 days a week at the office. And that's kind of how I transitioned into something that was more manageable for me. something more sustainable at the time because I was a caregiver. That's why all these things, I thought changing schools would help, but actually a lot of the pressure and stuff was what I
Mm-hmm.
was dealing with at home, in
Mm,
addition to the
that,
pressure that you feel at school.
yes,
Right.
yes. Well,
Hmm.
well, thanks again for sharing that part of your story. So now I think we are ready to move into some of those strategies that
Hmm.
you may want to share with our audience.
Right. Well, I am really, I have a really strong mission, and my why is to help reduce the exhaustion epidemic.
Mm,
And it is affecting so many professionals, particularly educators and service providers, in my experience. And I want to be able to help them find their joy and purpose again, reconnect with their inner strength. And that means we need to kind of expand our thinking and not just think about our job, our position at the school, all the different hats we hold there, but really start recognizing some of the signs of that silent burnout, because high achievers tend to internalize a lot of things because they don't want to rock the boat, or they try to put their best foot forward, which is commendable, but it's could be an issue. And so I think when you recognize that, when you're like disengaging more during meetings and you're not looking forward to the excitement that you used to be, you're tired, you're feeling stuck, you need to start at that time trying to seek clarity within your personal life.
mm,
And to me, once you are able to get a little better picture of what is going on inside and out, then you are able to um, kind of head it off. And
mhm,
a simple practice for me that made the biggest difference was a morning clarity ritual, so to speak, where you just self-check in the mornings. It's emotional and mental, and you just take time to do a little practice. There's several things you can do in your clarity ritual in the morning, but just have something that can help you to sort of energize yourself before you even head out the door.
mm,
Um, a lot of times we wake up, and I know I did this before. We wake up, we're checking our phones, especially if you're an administrator, you're checking your phone to see
mm,
who's going to be out. You're doing this, you're doing that, and you're already a million miles away before you even, get to the breakfast table.
mhm.
And I think that is a sign that we need to tighten it up a little bit. So,
Right.
yeah, tighten
I
it up a
love
little
that.
bit.
I wrote that down. I love that about your morning clarity ritual. Love
Yes, yes.
that. Hmm.
And of course, there's a couple more things that are practical solutions, like better boundaries, perhaps, or more clear boundaries in the
Okay.
classroom, with your students, with your parents, with your colleagues. And
Okay.
then these micro rest moments, being
Okay.
able to use short moments throughout the day to decompress.
Okay.
Don't go full blast all day long and then go home and crash.
Right.
That's what's going to lead to full-blown burnout. It's
Hmm.
being able to take these mini moments throughout the day, maybe two or three times during the day, to just decompress.
Hmm.
And that to me is one of the biggest things, because I feel like clarity, self-care, it's not just these isolated moments. When you can turn it into a movement in your life so that you are flowing in and out of that clarity as you're going through the day,
Hmm.
you're going to see a much bigger transformation in what's going on in your life.
Hmm. Love that.
and you'll be feeling more peaceful, more grounded, and more
Mhm.
resilient. And that's what leads to that long-term success.
Okay. So with you mentioning about some of these strategies like the morning clarity, the clear boundaries, um, and then the micro rest moments, what could be an example of a micro rest moment at school?
Oh, right. Well, I've been working on these lately. It is the concept of having two or three, maybe, and we do this for our students. So why not do it for ourselves? Um, Making a self-compassion box or a
Mm,
self-compassion bag, in a pretty decorative bag. And inside there, you have some things that can really support you that have nothing to do with school.
mm,
And it could have an essential oil or two in there. It could have your journal in there. It could have like a little book that has some quotes or scriptures or something in there, and even little personal letters that you've written to yourself. So I call these self-compassion boxes. And I've
okay.
got several ideas on how we can theme these self-compassion boxes, so that we have a lot of variety. And it's sort of like, having theme boxes, like the alphabet boxes, where
Mhm.
a box has all the A items and B items. Well, we're going to do the same thing for ourselves. And it's really a way of creating a physical attachment to self-compassion because you have it right there. You have your little bag of tricks right there with you at school, and you just get it down and you use it, you enjoy what you have in there, and then get right back on track.
Mhm. Wow. So some great ideas.
Hmm.
Yes, yes. So, one of my questions was going to be, what does self-care, health, and wellness mean to you? But we know that basically that's what we've talked about in this segment, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others. You can't take care
Mm.
of your family, you can't take care of your kids at school. So I know just hearing you telling us all these things, I mean, I've written down a lot of these myself, but these are some things I can do as well. So, Dr. P, did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
Yeah, I probably, yeah. So I really like about the, like the three things that you shared about, and I think that's to keep us sane because
Oh,
when you were,
yes.
yes, because when you were mentioning about the silent um burnout, and I
Mm,
think every one of us go through that part, and because like we are some teachers, we really know that they are not paid as much as like the corporate world, and most of us are trying to get by and try to survive,
mm,
and having that silent burnout is really I would say the word killing everybody, because we cannot just it's kind of like there's no way out. But
right.
Yes.
yeah, but the thing is, I remember when I remember when I was in one of the schools that I had before, and when you know that the administrators are not supportive of you, that could
Mm.
add to a burnout too. And that's going to be
Yes.
my question to you, because you said that you will move from one school to another school to help you feel to have a new feel of environment, and
Hmm.
that sometimes it helps, sometimes it is not, sometimes it gets worse. But I remember one time when I also had a journal within me, and then I have this kind of motivation for me to keep going, because especially if it's like in the middle of the school year, and where else will I go? So it's something that to help us recommit ourselves that, hey, I am still here standing strong, and
Hmm.
I would be able to serve. So it's kind of like you are self motivating aside from self caring yourself, because
Right,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes, and that I call it self-awareness. So,
Mm-hmm.
because when you become more aware of yourself and of
Correct.
what's going around, and you're not just treading water, it
Mm-hmm.
to, to keep your head above water, you're actually taking a proactive approach to
Right.
it.
Correct.
And so, and like you mentioned, I thought, okay, I just need to get out of the school system and go to the charter school. Hey, that
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't the solution. You know,
Right, right.
I got a new environment, but it wasn't 100% what the solution was. I needed to get more clarity in my personal life,
Mhm.
in my own me,
Yes.
Correct.
so
Yeah.
that, yeah, so that I could really tap into my inner strengths and rejuvenate myself.
Hmm.
I can't rely on the environment to do that for me.
Right. Because
No,
it's
we
not.
have, right. That's
Uh-huh.
not going to.
Right.
So, and that's part of my morning clarity ritual that I
Mm-hmm.
do. I set the day's intentions. I'm big on intention setting statements. And I just spend some time in the morning in reflection and tapping into my inner strengths in, a variety of ways that I have that I enjoy doing that. And another thing that I have found very, very helpful is helping clients craft their own personal mission statement
Mhm.
because
Mm.
we are so busy doing everything for everybody else and following the standards and all that stuff that we don't even pay much attention, or do we even know what our own standards are?
Right.
Correct.
I love
So,
that.
yeah, so a personal
Mm-hmm.
mission statement is something that we work on together, and then it ends up being like two or three sentences, and it is a way to inspire yourself every day and remind yourself. So, if that's part of your clarity ritual in the morning, you read that mission statement, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like it reinvigorates you, you
Yeah.
know?
Correct.
So, and it's just a lot of little pieces, I think, that go
Mhm.
together to make a more profound impact.
Yes. Well, I'm nodding because in our community circle, I have the one for teachers, and you and I have talked about that, and I have one that I do that I want to talk to teachers to help them create that environment in their classroom. And one of the things that the practices that they have to do is to create their own vision statement, because if you know where you want
Hmm.
to take your classroom, then every day that's going to drive you. So I just love when I heard you say a mission statement, because that kind of took me right back to, if you don't know where you're starting yourself, how are you going to get there? So what you just mentioned, again, I'm writing down all your ideas, because this is something that I can find myself doing myself. But just love hearing all of your ideas and how intentional they are to making sure that you're taking care of yourself.
Right. And it may sound overwhelming, but if you just do it slowly and you just take a chunk here and a chunk here and a chunk there and just
Mm-hmm.
add all of these little pieces in that are going to support you and uplift you throughout the day, it makes a big impact over time.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
one step at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or
And
or
I'm
take baby
laughing.
steps.
Yeah, baby
Baby.
steps.
Yes,
Because
yes.
I know when I first started off teaching, and I'm sure y'all felt the same way. You were thinking, "Oh my goodness, 30 years seems like a long time." But those years
Mm-hmm.
started rolling around. I did 23 and a half, and this year would have been year 30 if I had stayed in the district. But it is year 30 as far as me being an educator. But
Right.
so true that it's still baby steps. It's still baby steps for me now in whatever I'm doing now, because I'm still that lifelong learner. So I'm still taking those small steps. So
Mm-hmm.
it's so important that teachers and other educators realize, don't, because that's what could lead to the burnout too. You're overwhelming yourself
Mm-hmm.
when you can just take those small steps to change.
Hmm.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Right. So
Hmm.
so Cindy, you said you are a coach. So coach, so who do you accept? Like even those new teacher, or who are your clients? Because they want to know sometimes people go into the career, but they really thought that it's not really theirs, but they just have to because they have to work.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes, and I work with various levels of educators and other high achieving professionals. And what we work on and focus on, there's a few different things that I help them with. I have what I call a Mind Moments membership, and this is where we get together weekly and we just work on our clarity rituals and on self-expansion strategies, just in the moment, real life, week by week, just
Mhm.
doing something to sustain us throughout the school year. And then I also have some self-study courses that I've written. One is the Clarity Challenge, and it is a course that helps people dig into clarity and figure out how to make clarity something that they understand completely and that they utilize daily. Like I said, that includes setting up a clarity ritual and writing their mission statement and things like that. And then I also have for people that are more advanced in their careers and they just want new levels of personal growth. I have a self-expansion experience, which is a 12 module program. And we focus on all areas of personal growth, including the mind, the body, our relationships, and circumstances.
Oh,
And we go through that with a real structured pathway, actionable steps, and way to just go through the self-expansion process with us holding your hands as we go through it. And it really leads to a lot of measurable progress.
mhm.
So that's kind of what I do and how I support educators in the field and even retirees, because I've was just talking to someone a couple of days ago, and she has retired from the classroom, but yet she is far from done educating and using her skills. And so that transition from working in the classroom or in the school district to an independent consultant or whatever. And even people that are planning for retirement, I'm not sure when or how, that's where that expansion, that clarity, it all kind of merges together so that you can continue to be an educator, which you've loved all your life, and
Mhm.
move forward.
Right.
But you did mention something, Dr. P, about people who get in there and they stay in there because they have to, not because they want to.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
That is a serious issue.
Mhm.
It's serious for the school, for the children that you see every day, for your family, because it impacts you every step of the way.
I
Right.
And
agree.
yes, and so that's where the reframing strategies come in, so that you learn how to reframe things you can't change, things you are required to do, and you have no choice. You can either wallow in it or you can reframe it. And you would be surprised how reframing can change your entire mindset.
Yes.
And that's what makes what we do sustainable, even if it's not our first choice or second choice, but it's something we have to do, we need to do, whether for the insurance or for the income. A lot of people are that way. And because they feel like they have to do it,
Mhm.
that burnout is on the edge all the time. And
Yes.
so that's why I feel like this morning clarity rituals and the reframing strategies are going to let you take your life back.
Yes. And then I even love how you just stated too that you still work with people who are retired because burnout
Mhm.
just doesn't stop when you stop working, a lot of times we are taking care of, elderly parents that this could happen when you retire, or you may have some health struggles yourself, or maybe your spouse. And so then that takes on a whole nother realm of responsibilities that could lead to that. So I'm so glad to hear that you stated that you continue to work with
Yep.
professionals throughout, no matter what stage they're at. So that is great to hear. Very great. So, one thing I did want to ask is, if you had to think about one piece of advice that you could share with our listeners, what would you share with them?
All right. I would say probably first and foremost is focus on the concept of neutrality, being
Okay.
neutral in the way you look at your situation, the way you look at the requirements at your job, and the way you focus on what you're doing or you feel you might not be doing as a person. Be neutral and not focus on perfection. Learn how to meet life's challenges without those extreme emotional reactions.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you've got positivity, you've got negativity, but I'm saying let's learn how to get into that neutral zone so that you can face your daily challenges without all those extreme emotions.
Right. Because that
Yeah.
really adds on to the issues when you have that on top of it. So that's a great piece of advice.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Dr.
I would agree with, just in between, not too much, not do not overdo or something, because people have a tendency to overdo things, and that will cause the burnout. So I hope that our listeners are able to find, this video very helpful. And what you shared with us, Miss Cindy, is really valuable, not just for our listeners, but it's for me as well. And I think for Tiffany
Yeah,
too.
I've been taking notes.
Yay.
I've been
Yes,
taking
yes.
Well, one thing that we and you've got kind of already talked about this, but as we start to close our session, one of the questions we were going to ask is, where can your listeners sign up for a course, or or whatever your service is, or purchase a product that you might have? So to hear you saying all those wonderful resources and services that you provide at those three levels, where would they be able to find this?
They can find it through my website
Okay.
on the Courage Hub.
Okay.
And they can also follow me on YouTube, where I go into more detail on several of the concepts that I've touched on today. I
Okay.
have what we call a spotlight playlist on Cindy Brockway. That's my YouTube channel.
Okay.
And so I go into some of these strategies, just little 15-minute segments to where they can learn about the strategy, and then they can have access to the websites in there that tell them how to connect and get more information on the on my courses. And of course,
Okay.
they're always able to find me on Facebook or LinkedIn
Okay.
because I'm there as well.
Okay. And and that was gonna be the next question, like where can they learn more about you? So you said you're on YouTube, you said you Facebook and LinkedIn. So everybody, hopefully you
Yep.
heard that. So you can contact Cindy and she will be glad to offer her sound advice to you all. So I know partly whenever you and I have been on the call with um, the professional development platform that we're on, the marketplace, I know a lot of times you've told me that you're out traveling sometimes. So have
Hmm.
y'all been on a travel something? Have you traveled lately?
Yes, yes, we've been
Okay.
traveling quite a bit. In fact, I'm leaving in the morning to go on another trip. We have a pull behind camper, And my mom lives with us. I'm a caregiver.
Mhm.
And so she loves going in the camper,
Mhm.
and she's 83. And so we just get everybody in the camper and we go to campgrounds and we just relax and enjoy nature. And
Yes.
I'm able to work remotely, so that helps out. And it's just that, we talk about a change of environment. Well, that the campground is a good one for me because it really helps me to tap into that consistent calm, that keeps me going. So, yeah, we're headed out again, and the temperatures are much cooler. We just got back from a trip a couple of weeks ago, and it was hot, hot, hot.
Yes, well, I remember, sometimes on the calls I could look at the background and see that, she's traveling, she's relaxing, and I want to be able to do that like that one day.
Yes, yes. I enjoy it. I really do. I am a multi-passionate grannypreneur. So I'm a
Oh.
grandma. I also have an Etsy business, but those things I can take with me,
Hmm.
and so it works out really well that I'm able to still bring in some income, but yet go camping and relax and stuff. So it's almost like a dream come true. And I'm
That's
very
That's great.
grateful. Yeah.
Very
mhm,
nice.
very grateful, yes.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Well, it's really been a pleasure having you on our segment today. Actually, you are our first podcast guest, so we're very
Woohoo!
excited about that.
Yay.
Because Dr. P and I have been doing segments just she and I. So it's really nice to have
Mhm.
you as our first guest. And we do want you to
Mhm.
come back. We'll invite you back another time and maybe we
Mhm.
can talk on a specific strategy that you can talk to our audience about.
Absolutely. I would love to do that because when you could dig in deeper on those individual strategies, oh, wow, it's mind blowing.
Hmm. Well, Dr. P, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I just want to say thank you so much, Cindy. Again, I mean, I would not be able to. I could just keep saying thank you for the time that you spent with us, and like what I said, I've learned some of the things that I have to apply for myself. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so we're lifelong learners, so we learn from each other, and
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say thank you for the time that you gave us today.
Yes,
And
you
yeah,
are welcome.
and
Thank
thank
you.
you for
And
what you're still doing for the educators out there.
yes, yes, it's an honor and a privilege to be
Mhm.
here with you guys and to be able to support educators out in the field. So thank you
Thank
very much.
you.
You're welcome. All right, you all, that's going to be it for this segment of the Educate
Okay.
You. And so we
Mhm.
will see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye, y'all.